I woke up on a Monday with the kind of certainty you don't question. No dream had warned me. No message blinked on my phone. Still, my body knew before my mind caught up, this day would break something permanent. The house was quiet, the early morning kind of quiet that usually felt peaceful. That morning, it felt staged, like a set built to look normal. I turned my head and looked at my wife, Elena. 15 years together, half my life. We'd built routines so predictable they felt safe. Coffee at 6, school lunches on the counter, a quick kiss before work. I leaned over and kissed her cheek. "Have a good day," I said. She smiled, but it was wrong. Too controlled. Too neat. Like a cashier's smile when they're already clocked out inside. "You too," she replied. That was it. No warmth, no teasing, no hand on my arm. I told myself I was imagining things. That marriage had seasons. That not every morning was supposed to feel like a movie montage. I showered, dressed, kissed my daughters, Hannah and Lucy, and drove to work downtown, replaying Elena's voice in my head. Flat, polished, empty. By mid-morning, the unease turned physical. I was sitting at my desk reviewing quarterly numbers when pain exploded through my body. Sharp, blinding, humiliating. I stood up so fast my chair crashed backward. I barely made it to the restroom. Locked in the stall, gripping the metal divider, I looked down and felt the floor drop out from under me. Greenish discharge, thick, wrong. My heart slammed against my ribs as if it was trying to escape first. "No," I whispered. "That's not possible." I hadn't cheated. Not once. Not ever. A knock came at the door. "You all right in there?" It was Brian, my manager. I opened the stall just enough. He saw my face, then his eyes shifted. He didn't need an explanation. "Go see a doctor," he said quietly. "I'll handle your reports. Take the day." That was when fear replaced denial. I drove straight to an urgent care clinic on the far side of the city. Anonymous, crowded, indifferent. A nurse took my vitals without looking at me. When the doctor came in, he didn't circle the truth. "This is gonorrhea," he said, tapping the chart. "We'll start antibiotics today. No sexual contact for at least a week. Other test results will take longer." The word echoed in my head like a gunshot. I nodded, signed papers, took the prescription. On the drive home, I called my parents. My mother went silent. My father didn't. "If you didn't cheat," he said slowly, "then you already know what this means." I did. Memories started lining up like evidence I'd ignored for years. Late nights, guarded phone calls, sudden trips, emotional distance explained away as stress. By the time I pulled into my driveway, denial was gone. Something had been happening in my marriage for a very long time, and I was finally about to see it. On the drive to my parents' house, I kept replaying our early years like scenes from a film that suddenly felt mislabeled. The version of my marriage I'd believed in no longer fit the facts I was holding in my hands. I was raised in a strict, faith-centered home. Marriage wasn't just a promise, it was a covenant. My parents didn't yell, they didn't threaten. They believed discipline came from consistency, honesty, and consequences. Cheating wasn't just immoral in our house, it was unthinkable. That's why I never questioned my wife. I met Elena when I was 27. She laughed easily then. She used to listen, really listen, when I talked. When she said she loved me, it felt like a decision, not a mood. Our wedding was simple. My mother cried. My father shook my hand, like I'd passed a test. When our daughters were born, I thought life had locked into place. I worked. She managed the household, and later her career. We shared responsibilities, bills, dreams, or so I thought. At my parents' kitchen table, I finally said the words out loud. I was diagnosed with an STD. My mother covered her mouth. My father leaned back, folding his arms. "You didn't cheat," he said. "No." "Then you need a lawyer," he replied. No hesitation, no softness. I wanted comfort. What I got was clarity. My mother suggested the girls stay with them for a little while. Not because they suspected Elena, but because they trusted me. That loyalty hurt more than judgment ever could. That afternoon, my father pulled out an old business card from a drawer like he'd been waiting years to use it. Gina Hale, family attorney. "She's thorough," he said, "and she doesn't get emotional." Neither did I anymore. We met Gina the next day. She didn't interrupt. She didn't gasp. She listened, took notes, then asked one question that cut through everything. "How long do you think this has been going on?" I hesitated. "I don't know." "Then assume it's been longer than you're comfortable admitting," she said calmly, "and start acting accordingly." She asked for bank statements, tax returns, phone records, anything that told a story without feelings attached. That night, after Elena went to bed, I opened the laptop. I found the first anomaly in our joint account within minutes. Withdrawals I couldn't explain. Transfers to a separate savings account in her name, one I'd never seen. Bonuses, commissions, money quietly moving away from us. By midnight, my hands were shaking. By 1 a.m., I found nearly $1 million she'd set aside without telling me. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark. 15 years, 2 children, a shared life. And somehow I was only now realizing I'd been living next to a stranger. When Elena came home the following evening, I watched her like someone studies a suspect. Every word felt rehearsed. Every smile felt borrowed. She kissed me on the cheek and asked how my day was. I told her I was tired. That was the first truth I'd spoken to her in weeks. And it wouldn't be the last, but it would be the last one I offered gently. After that night, I stopped sleeping. Not the dramatic kind of insomnia you see in movies. No staring at the ceiling, no racing thoughts. It was worse. I slept in fragments. 20 minutes here, 40 there. Always waking with the same pressure in my chest, the same certainty that something massive was collapsing, and I was standing right under it. I didn't confront Elena. Not yet. Gina's voice echoed in my head. Information first, emotions later. So I became quiet, observant, careful. I noticed how Elena guarded her phone now, angling the screen away from me like a reflex. How she suddenly forgot to charge it overnight and took it into the bathroom with her in the morning. How her laugh, once warm, had become sharp, performative, aimed outward instead of at me. One evening she said she had a late meeting. I nodded and didn't ask where. Instead, I opened the phone tracker. Her dot wasn't at work. It wasn't moving toward home. It stopped at a hotel across town. I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity. The next morning, I hired a private investigator. His name was Mark, former cop. No drama, no judgment. He asked how long I wanted surveillance. "As long as it takes," I said. While he worked, I kept digging. I found emails Elena had archived, travel confirmations, restaurant reservations, tickets for concerts I'd never attended. She was careful, but not flawless. People who lie for years start to believe they're invisible. One receipt led to another. A hotel, a weekend getaway, A charge that matched the same dates every 3 months. Patterns. When Mark called me a week later, his voice was flat. "She's not subtle," he said. "She just assumes no one's watching." He sent photos, videos, dates, times. Elena laughing in a parking garage. Elena kissing a man I recognized immediately, Daniel, a consultant who lived 3 streets over. I'd shaken his hand at a block barbecue once. Complimented his car. The footage wasn't romantic. That was the worst part. It was casual, like this was normal, like I was just an inconvenience that existed somewhere else. Then came the audio, a recording from a cafe. Elena's voice was clear, relaxed, confident. "I've been married 15 years, she said, laughing. "You don't leave a job like that until you've lined up something better." I sat there, phone in my hand, listening to my wife explain my replacement strategy. That night, she asked what was wrong. "Nothing," I said. And for the first time, it wasn't a lie, because grief had already done its work. What was left was resolve. The lab results came back the same week. I was negative for everything, except what I already knew. The girl's DNA results followed 2 days later. They were mine. I collapsed onto the couch and cried, not from fear, but from relief. One thing in my life was still real. One bond hadn't been poisoned by deception. Gina reviewed the evidence and nodded. "This is more than enough," she said. "Infidelity, financial misconduct, endangerment. You'll have leverage." I didn't want revenge. I wanted control. So I waited. I let Elena continue her routine. Let her believe she was safe. Let her think she was winning something. The night of the accident, I was sitting alone in the living room, the house quiet in a way it hadn't been for weeks. I'd just turned off the TV when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Mr. Watson?" a woman asked. "Yes." "This is Angela Barnes from Mercy General Hospital. Your wife has been admitted following a motor vehicle collision." The room went cold. I didn't call my parents. I didn't call her sister. I drove. In the ICU, Elena looked smaller, fragile, wrapped in wires and bandages like consequences she couldn't talk her way out of. The doctor explained the injuries, the coma, the infections. I listened without interrupting. Then I walked into her room alone. I placed my wedding ring inside an envelope and set it on the table where she'd see it when she woke up. I slipped her rings off gently. There was no anger in my hands, only finality. As I walked out, I realized something that terrified me and freed me at the same time. I didn't feel love anymore. I felt responsibility. And that was about to end, too. Elena woke up 3 days later. I wasn't there when it happened. I was sitting in my car outside the hospital, staring at the steering wheel like it held answers. A nurse came out, scanned the parking lot, and finally spotted me. "She's awake," she said, disoriented but conscious. I nodded and followed her in. Elena looked different when she opened her eyes. Not weak, stripped. The confidence she'd worn like armor for 15 years was gone. Her face tightened when she saw me. "Greg," she whispered. "What happened?" "You tell me," I said calmly. She frowned, searching my face for clues, for the man who used to soften when she looked afraid. She didn't find him. "They said an accident. A truck ran the light." She swallowed. "Why do you look like that?" I reached into my jacket and placed the envelope on the tray table. "What's this?" she asked. "You'll understand in a minute." She opened it slowly. Her eyes landed on the ring. Then her hands started shaking. You're doing this now?" she whispered. "After everything?" "After everything," I agreed. She tried to sit up and failed. Pain crossed her face, but I didn't move. "You gave me gonorrhea," I said. Her eyes widened. For half a second, the truth flickered through before she masked it. "That's not—" "Don't," I said softly. "Please don't insult what little respect is left." The door opened behind me. Gina stepped in, followed by a court officer. Elena's breath hitched. "What is this?" she asked, panic rising. "Greg, what's happening?" The officer stepped forward and handed her the papers. "You've been served," he said. She stared at the documents like they were written in another language. "No," she whispered. No, you can't do this." I finally looked at her fully. I already did. She started crying then. Loud, broken sobs. Not guilt. Fear. "You're using this," she said between breaths. "My words. My illness. You're turning everything against me." "No," I replied. "I'm letting your choices speak." I laid the evidence on the table, photos, timestamps, financial records. She didn't even try to deny it. "I was lonely," she said weakly. "You were always working, always tired." "I was building a family," I said. "You were dismantling it." Her sister, Lauren, entered quietly and stopped short when she saw the scene. "What did you do?" Lauren snapped at Elena. Elena reached for her, desperate. "Tell him," she begged. "Tell him it wasn't all my fault." Lauren didn't move. "I told you to stop years ago," she said coldly. "You didn't listen." The room fell silent. I handed Elena one last document. "Temporary custody," I said. "Full legal. You'll have supervised visits, if the court approves." She looked at me like she was seeing a stranger. "You're cruel," she whispered. "No," I said. "I'm finished." The divorce moved fast after that. The evidence was overwhelming. The judge didn't need theatrics. 15 years of infidelity, financial deception, medical endangerment. Elena got what she had quietly agreed to years earlier without realizing it. Less than half, no leverage, no sympathy. When I walked out of the courthouse free, the air felt lighter. The girls stayed with me. They didn't ask about their mother. Not at first. When they did, I told them the truth, carefully, without poison. "She made choices," I said. "Now she has to live with them." Weeks passed. Elena moved into a small apartment across town. No designer furniture, no long lunches, no secrets to hide behind. I heard she cried a lot. I didn't ask. My test results came back negative. All of them. That night, I sat alone on the porch, listening to the house breathe around me. For the first time in 15 years, I wasn't waiting for something to break. It already had. And I was still standing.